good for me, it was good for you. Nothing either of can say or do can change the way you feel tonight. Sometimes love just leaves aside. Just one thing before you go. Just one thing that you got to know. No one will ever touch me that way, the way that you did that very first day. And I'll never be the same without you here. I'll live alone, hide myself behind my tears. No, I'll never be the same without your love.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please take a seat, guys. Wherever you like. The agony of choice. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome if you're tuning in now. We might just need one more minute. Okay, so thank you for tuning in now if you're online, and otherwise for joining us in the room. I know it's been a long day, but I appreciate everybody still being here. My name's Alessandro Ford, and I'm an agri-food reporter at Politico. So today we're going to talk innovation, and it's good to set the scene. And as I was making notes for this, I was thinking, God, how do you talk about farming innovation? It's the world's oldest profession, really. You know, our species has been doing this for 10,000 years. But obviously the last century has brought very rapid innovation, stronger seed varieties, better machinery, irrigation, more powerful and plentiful pesticides, fertilizers, and that's brought much bigger food production, but also problems, as we've heard today, soil degradation, biodiversity loss, global heating, water scarcity. Now, the Commission's Farm to Fork strategy was obviously meant to alleviate some of those problems. We were going to reduce the use of some agrochemicals in favor of green fertilizers, biocontrol products, improve animal welfare, cat antimicrobial use, and, of course, NGTs, making drought-resistant crops. Now, I think it's fair to say that didn't quite go according to plan. On that note, I'd like to welcome our distinguished panelists. So on the right over here, we have Ricard back again. Thank you. Deputy Head of Unit of Policy Perspectives at DG Agri. Then we've got Anke Kvast, Vice President of Regenerative Agriculture and Climate Framework at Yara International. And Andre Rodrigues here, our Portuguese MEP and member of the Agri Committee in the Socialists and Democrats group. I'll start with you, Ricard. So my characterization there, that it didn't go according to plan, what would you agree with that? And if so, why didn't it happen?
Well, I think it's clear that several things didn't go as planned. I mean, it's clear that in the previous mandate there were some objectives and some proposals, in particular, that didn't go through. And this is why we need to reflect on how to approach the challenges. I think it's quite clear that the problems are there and the challenges are there, and we all agree that we have key challenges regarding climate change, climate adaptation, and we need to use all the tools available to really cope with these challenges. I think the lesson learned from the previous mandate is that while the goals are there, we need to develop new working methods. And I think that's the lesson learned. So rather than top-down approaches based mainly on regulatory aspects and also on increasing administrative burden, now we think that solutions need to be found more bottom-up, market-based solutions, and we need to be clearly pragmatic. So in that sense, I think that regarding innovation is there, and we need to make the use of all the possible available tools. We think that with the current cap that we discussed in the previous panel, in the cap that now we have until 2027, we have important tools to foster and to finance the access of the farming community to the most innovative tools, tools like that are available in precision marking, breeding, on management, manure management. There are plenty of techniques that really we need to develop, and we need them. We need the farmers to embrace these tools, and in that sense, we think that the cap is there to help the farming community to use these technologies. Then, of course, we have. There are some elements, more from the regulatory aspect. You mentioned already in your introduction some examples of some areas where probably we haven't yet developed. And for example, you mentioned the proposal, for example, NGTs. So the Commission delivered. The Commission proposed 2 years ago. Made a proposal, and that's with the co-legislators. So we think that one day. So we expect that in proposals like this, because this is important, new genomic techniques are important. So we hope that one day we are gonna be able to advance on this dossier. But at the same time, we need to work down the earth in the fields with the farmers to really make use of all these technologies which are already exist and are already available. Because here we have a gap, we have a big gap between what already exists and what is legal and what is being developed and what the market is promoting and what the farmers do. And I think that's the big challenge and where we are going to work strongly in the next years.
So it's a problem of uptake in your mind rather than lack of existing technologies.
There is a big problem of uptake, clearly, and in that we need to work. I mean, we need to reflect seriously because, of course, I mean, the structures of the sector, it's what it is. I mean, the average age of a farmer in Europe is 57-year-old. And of course, this has the age has implications regarding the willingness to embrace certain new technologies. But not only this, we need to really invest on education, on skills, on really empowering these farmers to really be able to use these new techniques. And here we see, and from us, from DG Agri, we really think we need an important push on the area of the digitalization. And in digitalization, here we already see it, and here is where we see the young generations really approaching the data, the availability of the data, and the management of the farm from a totally different angle. And there is where we think that, in particular, with regards to the digital tools in the next years, we need to work and we need to advance because I mean that's really the way ahead. And here we also have some homework regarding interoperability, regarding also the facilitation of the management of the data. Here we also have public institutions a role to play in the next years.
And Anke, I see you nodding along to most of this. What in that do you see as most important from an industry point of view? And is there anything you would disagree on?
First of all, I fully agree with you that we have already solutions at hand. We just need to scale them. And I just want to give you one example. I'm here from the fertilizer industry, Yara. Fertilizers, to produce fertilizers, is a very energy-intensive process. And passing over this energy to crops has tremendous boost effects on their yields. So today, 50% of our food production is enabled by mineral nitrogen fertilizers, 50%. So it's demonstrating that it's a backbone of our food system. That was an innovation which was really impactful. Now we have to go the next mile. Now we have to produce these fertilizers with renewable energy to decarbonize the food system, which is really important because we have a high share. This is possible. The technology is there. We can either move to renewable energy with electrifiers. Yara has recently inaugurated the first electrifier operated in Europe. We are producing now fertilizers made from hydropower. We are also investing in carbon capture and storage as a stepping stone before we can really reach the full fossil-free solutions. And for that, Yara is investing, since the last 3 years, $1 billion per year and $700 million in Europe. So to stem this is really a bold decision to do that. And we were basically motivated by the Green Deal because we thought, hey, that's now the moment. Let's move. Let's make the world better, you know? But then, and the beauty is, and you mentioned the farmers are quite high in age. The beauty is they can use these fertilizers as they are using the fertilizers today, the same way. It's the same physical product. But by using it, they can reduce the carbon footprint of the wheat they are harvesting by 30%. This is really making a difference. And the beauty is also that it's affordable. We found one customer, Lantmännen in Sweden. Lantmännen was in this from the beginning. They said, we will take your first green fertilizer batch. And that has also motivated us to really go for it. And now they have produced wheat based on our products, and the wheat is just 6.5 kilogram. The kilogram of wheat flour is 6.5 euro cent more expensive than the conventional product, and while the organically produced flour is 30 cents more expensive. So we are between conventional farming and organic farming. We are in a safe range. But we are also facing big problems. And we are talking a lot about problems of farmers. Also, the fertilizer industry is facing problems. We have high imports of Russian fertilizer to Europe. Russian fertilizer with a high carbon footprint, already today more than 50% higher than what we are currently producing already in Europe. Yet more affordable, yeah? But that means that we are basically fueling an aggressor in Europe, that we are compromising the strategic autonomy of our food system, and that we are eroding the commitment of the European fertilizer industry. And soon we will see that the fertilizer industry is running out of breath. And soon we will see that people are fired. People who have joined these companies, these front-runner companies, purpose-driven people, to do better for the future. And that is a reality. That is one big barrier. There is no vital ground for sustainable solutions in Europe today. We need to scale up the market for sustainable solutions. If that is not the case, we will not make it. And Fertilizer Europe has asked to put a 30% tariff on Russian product. This is what we need to do. Otherwise, we are just hitting the wall.
I want to come back to green ammonia, because obviously that's something Yara is investing a lot in. But it's really interesting to think about the progress on those lines. As a lawmaker, Andrea, from Azores, I believe,
Yes.
I was wondering what you think your constituents think about when they think about agricultural innovation. What do your voters want, and were they disappointed that a lot of the innovations in the last mandate didn't happen?
Thank you for having me here. Well, if you ask me what my constituents are thinking about innovation, I can say that they are pleased because we already have a long way that we did in the last 10, 20 years regarding one of the most important economic areas from the Azores is the dairy industry. And then we have genetics management, we have to improve manure management, the soil management. We introduce several innovation tools. So nowadays, the Azores, just to give an example, with 2% of the national surface of Portugal, are responsible by producing 30% of the milk and 50% of the cheese. Saying that, I also think that we are facing in Europe another kind of problems, because innovation, as its own goal, cannot solve any problem. It has to be one of elements that can solve and can help solve problems. But we have also an inequality problem assessing the innovation. And that is particularly interesting if we consider, as Ricardo said, that the average age of the agriculture in Europe is 57 years. If we consider that we have something like 9 million of farmers' holdings, and 2/3 of that are less than 5 hectares. And if we consider that the agricultures are struggling with several issues, infrastructural issues, water access, electricity access. When we speak about innovation for some parts of Europe, from some parts of the agricultures, they are not understanding what we are talking about because they are struggling having access to funds, having access to infrastructures. And if we say that innovation can play and plays a vital role for the crucial issues that we are facing regarding food security, food sovereignty in European Union, we must not forget that even so, we are facing other problems, and those problems are very difficult for thousands and thousands of agricultures around the European Union. That's why there are many of them are unsatisfied with the European Union nowadays. So, on summarizing, we have to continue pushing the tools of innovation regarding digitalization, regarding water supplies, regarding even satellite to improve the soil management, but we have to level the playing field in order to the more farmers have access to those innovation tools that are very needed to have a more level playing field in Europe.
It's interesting you mentioned water, because as a Portuguese lawmaker, I imagine that's very important. There have been droughts, there have been wildfires. How do you feel about the Commission having pulled back their water resilience?
Well, I do believe that we all are a little bit frustrated on the last mandate because we are hoping and looking forward to have strategic water resilience. And we are waiting and waiting and waiting. And now we are hoping that this new Commission will keep up with its words and present the water strategic resilience in the next couple of years. That is crucial and vital for many regions in Europe, and we are looking forward to have some news regarding that particular document.
Ricard, can we pencil in a date?
Yeah, it has already been announced by the President that in this mandate, which started this week, that the Commission will deliver on the water resilience strategy. That's a commitment. That's a commitment,
it was on the past.
It was, but now I think precisely in this new logic of the new mandate, where we are going to work in a much more pragmatic way. I think we will deliver, and also a very important thing of the water resilience strategy is that we, as in the same discussion that we do in agriculture, we need a discussion on water much more comprehensive and interlinked with the challenges of our agricultural sector. And we think that in that sense we will work closely the different services to really be able to deliver on that, because clearly on water is it's a crucial challenge, water quality and water quantity and water quality, and climate change is there. Climate change is there.
And when you say more holistic, what are you thinking of?
No, holistic in the sense that we have different tools available, like for example the CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy, and or other policies, which we need to work much more closely with other initiatives, like for example this water resilience strategy. So in the future CAP, we will work in a much more integrated way in order to take into account the different challenges and policy initiatives also from other domains, much more cross-cutting. So in that sense, and I think it's already quite clear that the next CAP, so the CAP that we are going to start in 2028, we need to pay much more strong attention to climate adaptation, and climate adaptation is much more now on the agenda, and we need important efforts regarding investments. And investments, again, not only in the CAP, but also with other players. Our latest figures is that we have a gap on investments on 62 billion euros in Europe. And then also we need to work on the practices. And I think we are talking about innovation. And innovation, we need precisely to find these business models. We need to find these partnerships where we really develop all the different tools in a holistic way. We need investments, but at the same time, our farmers need to integrate certain practices, need to work in a different way, And then we need to also to network all the different players in a much more effective way. And here is where there are key players, like, for example, the advice to the farmers. I mean, more and more, the farmer relies on the advisors, on the people who are the experts, who tell her, okay, what is the best solution. And here we really need to pay much more attention to really reinforce the role of advice, and then also the training needed for the farmer himself.
And you were saying before about this idea that top-down regulatory vision has been a problem, or was a problem in the last mandate. It sounds like deregulatory language. Can we expect that in agri-food?
No, so I think clearly, so we are working already to reduce administrative burden. I think that's quite clear, and to try to simplify the life of the operators. I think that will be quite crucial in this mandate. I mean, in this mandate we have a clear agenda on competitiveness, which really requires the simplification of the administrative burden. And this, at the level of the farm, this is crucial. And we know and we are aware about the difficulties. Then this working method, rather than the regulatory approach or not regulatory approach, I think the changes in the working method. We need to work much more together, all the different players. And I think the lesson learned from the previous mandate is that public institutions, cannot work in a certain direction if the operators do not embrace the same way and the same direction. And I think in that sense, the farmers, industry, the different players, the scientific community, advise the overall food chain. We need to work in a much more cooperative way in order to go into the same direction. And that's why, in fact, this week already the Commission, we will start to put into place this new body, the EBAF, which is the European Board on Agri-Food, precisely to better strengthen these links between the different stakeholders and in order to ask the Commission to get the advice in a much more closer way from the different stakeholders. And in that sense, it's a change in the way of working.
Yeah. And Anke, coming from the private sector and talking about regulation and over-regulation, what's your experience been in the last mandate of working with EU regulators? What do you wish to see going forwards on this?
Yeah, we have discussed a lot about regenerative agriculture. I mean, agriculture is a nature-based activity, so the farmer is much closer to the pulse of climate and nature and the market as we are. We have to be honest on that. So I think the farmer needs to maneuver now in a very flexible manner through all the dynamics farming is facing. So we should not over-regulate, and we should also not be over-prescriptive to farmers. We need to give them the flexibility to adapt at the moment it's required. I think this is very important, and At the same moment, there was a discussion, should we pay for performance? Yes, we should pay for performance. That's very logic. If you want to have performance, you have to pay for performance. And performance of agriculture needs to be defined. It should be outcomes for the farmer, for the food system, but also for climate and nature. At the same moment, we have to enable farmers to adapt to the changing conditions. So regulations should create a level play field, but they should not over-regulate. And we have seen that all the hours farmers are spending on administrative burden, they cannot go out and manage their farm. That's very simple. And we cannot ask them everything at the same time. Yeah, so I like the regenerative agriculture approach, because there we are bringing all the things we need to change in one approach to the farm. And we need to enable now the farmers to stem the cost of it, and also stem the effort of it. And you mentioned water. Water is crucial for agriculture. We all know that. Not just the water use efficiency needs to be improved. The whole water infrastructure needs to be, we need to invest in it. It's very expensive. And we need to work on water quality also for the nature aspect. And there I would like to say that the nitrogen use efficiency is the other lever we can basically apply. There is a lot of digital tools and services, data-based decision support, agronomic knowledge. We need infrastructure for farmer to demonstrate their performance in terms of nitrogen use efficiency, that they are in the planetary or regional boundaries, in the safe management corridor. And then they can be incentivized by the private sector, because they want also to demonstrate performance for their products, and by the European Commission. Because today we have even the situation that farmers have to decide. Either they are serving the private sector, or they are going for subsidies. How is that possible if we are all following the Paris Agreement and the Kunming Montreal Biodiversity Framework? We are having the same North Stars. Why can we not agree on a common system we incentivize as private sector and from the public sector? Then the farmer can aggregate the incentives and move much faster.
On regulation, though, there are some people that say it's not a situation of, it's a situation of managing various trade-offs. And sometimes speaking to people, for example, in regulatory agencies, they tell me, well, look, Alessandro, yes, it's great if you could do this and that, but if you want things to go faster, if you want easier access, easier approval processes, then that also means having to either put in more money or also accept that we're going to have lower standards. Andre, do you see it that way?
Well, it's a complicated issue. We have to remind ourselves that agriculture is an economic activity and should provide income for the farmers and their families. And it should provide them an opportunity to have access to funds without having a college degree to apply for that funds. It's crucial to have a balanced system that can provide simplification on one hand, to fight excessive bureaucracy, but in the other hand, do not decrease the transparency and the accountability that those systems has to ensure, because we are talking about public funding. But most concern is the generation renewal, because one of the topics, the main topics of this panel is regarding innovation. And we cannot have innovation, we cannot have the level playing field, as I said before, if we cannot create the opportunities and the conditions to attract younger people to this sector. And there is a correlation of age factor in seizing the opportunities, in seizing the innovation tools that are most needed to respond to the several difficulties and issues that agriculture is facing across Europe. It's not a matter of excessive regulation. It's a matter of having a regulatory system that can provide justice in accessing the funds, but can also be agile enough to be in order to respond to the objectives they are facing. So sometimes I know that the politics are always discussing more regulation, less regulation. We should have sufficient regulations to ensure that the word that we are always hearing in Brussels, the level playing field, really functions for all. And nowadays, it's not functioning for all, as we can already saw it in the past with several agricultures being very angry with the European Union. But it's not a matter of deregulation per se. It's a matter of having a system that works for people. And we do need to ensure some more flexible regulation in one hand, but in other hand to have a more stronger regulation to ensure equal opportunities for all.
And Ricard, hearing all this, it makes me think of the elephant in the room, or the EFSA in the room, we should say. What do you think about these ideas that the EFSA is too slow, that it's too close to industry, but also that it's too far from industry on other things, on biocontrol products and on novel foods? It feels like the agency's been really politicized. And they sometimes say, well, you know, the Commission's the one that sets our rules on this.
Honestly, I mean, this is an area which is quite complex. It's a complex area. And whatever step that public authorities do in this domain need to be also very careful and very well assessed. And honestly, on that area, I mean, I cannot tell you now at this stage if there will be changes as regards the trend that has been already experienced. In the fora, and what it is important is that at the end of the day, there is plenty of innovation. There is plenty of innovation around, and we see that, and as I said before, I mean, plenty of elements, plenty of ideas are available, have been developed. And that this is why for us it's important to put the focus on the access and the availability to these tools.
Do you think the EFSA is fit for purpose?
Excuse me?
Do you think the EFSA is fit for purpose?
No, the EFSA, I mean, plays its role. The EFSA plays its role, and the EFSA. The EFSA, I mean, the creation of EFSA, and this is important also to put in a big perspective. I mean, the creation of EFSA has been one of the most important developments in the last years. I mean, we need to see. I mean, EFSA, when it was created at the beginning of this century, was as a result of big scandals that we faced in Europe. And sometimes I think, I mean, in particular younger people should not forget what happened in Europe in the 80s, in the 90s. We had big problems, BSE crisis, big problems, and which forced us to develop a big body of legislation, and which is all the elements related to the food law and the big regulatory aspects that emerged at the beginning of the century. And one of the key elements was the EFSA, and the EFSA clearly is fit for purpose, of course, to play the role, to continue to play the role, because let's be clear, I mean, the independence and the scientific, the need to have a body which has this independence is fundamental.
We're nearly at time, unfortunately, so I want to do a lightning round of the innovations that are currently out there or that have not yet been developed. which are the most important in your eyes? So let's start with Andre.
Well, I believe the innovation tools that we have available in the near future, artificial intelligence can be very useful in arranging the systems to be more efficient, to have the ability to give quicker response to soil management, to diverse cultures, but we have to have, again, specific concerns about the way that artificial intelligence will be used in agriculture as well. But I pointed out that artificial intelligence will be a key agent in the near future.
Okay, you're going AI. Anke?
I'm going for the digital transformation because, as Yara, for example, we have put all our agronomic knowledge into digital tools and services to enable farmers to have instant decision-making, data-based and well-informed. And we don't see that this is adopted at the space and at the scale which would really make sense for the farmer, for nature and for climate. So I'm wishing for Christmas that we are basically taking the things which are there and going for the digital transformation. Thank you.
See if Santa can deliver. And
Yeah,
Ricard.
I hope so. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry.
The question was, you are Father Christmas, and you can deliver one innovation, one successful innovation to European agri-food.
One.
So Andre has said, we're going AI. Anke is saying the digital transformation. For you?
Honestly, it's difficult to choose. It's difficult to choose. It's hard. But I think the key innovation and which really will change our sector is really the digitalization. Digitalization and a good and efficient use of the data at farm level. I think this would be, if we manage this would be a big revolution, which would have a wonderful impact.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much. A round of applause for our panelists, please. We ask the attendees to remain seated. In a few minutes, our Trade and Agriculture editor, Douglas Busvine, will deliver a series of concluding remarks for the agriculture and food stream and the first day of our Sustainable Future Week Summit. Thank you.
Oops, thank you. Thank you so much for being on. All right. Thanks for you for staying the course. Great to see some of you, or so many of you still in the room. So this is the end of the first day of Politico's Sustainable Future Week. What are the main takeaways? I had a soundbite that stuck in my memory there from one of the panels this afternoon, sustainability fatigue. But also, I had a feeling that we're at the beginning of a new term. And maybe in contrast to the tone of the last legislative period, and particularly around the European election campaign, I'm hearing a more pragmatic, realistic discussion, maybe not so much optimism, but still more dialogue, more discussion, not quite so much shouting. I think some of the concepts we're talking about are rather in the eye of the beholder. Sustainability, I've heard many flavors of that. My particular favorite is one that Alessandro has written about, is security, food security. What does that mean? Whose security? But I think we've got some interesting insights and lots of food for thought to take with us into this coming term. So I won't detain you for much longer. I do have a few thanks to give. Well, thanks first of all to our excellent guests, but also thanks to the excellent Agri team. That's Bartosz Brzezinski, Paula Andres, and Alessandro Ford. They are superstars. They are so good as reporters, and they've really done a great job today. So thanks to the Agri team for hosting this and moderating. So yes, of course, I do have to sing for my supper, so we'd like to thank our partners for making this summit possible. The leading partners are Amazon, BMW Group, Coca-Cola Europe, Corteva, AgriScience, GE Eurospace, MOVA, the Polish Electricity Association. Our presenting partners are ADM, EDF, Geopost, GE Vernova, IRU McCain, and Yara, who we've just heard from. The networking partner is the A2A, and our visibility partner is Zoe Institute for Future Fit Economics, Future Fit Economies, I should say. So the most important announcement of the day is that we are now hosting a happy hour reception out in the main networking room, starting basically in a minute when I'm done and through to 7 o'clock. I have been told by Agathe to encourage you to visit our Pro booth to get a taste of a special Politico Pro offer. Do not forget to scan the QR code to collect your gift. You'll get a special gift. So yes, just to give you a bit of a heads up for tomorrow, we will resume sessions tomorrow with a dedicated stream on mobility. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the networking. Thank you very much.
We are united in diversity. We are very heterogeneous in our opinion.
If we do not renew our partnerships with the rest of the world, Europe will not be relevant.
We can make it if we are together as Europeans.
Development and looking ahead to what is next.
Do you genuinely believe that countries will manage to reach these very ambitious targets?